Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we just gone live again. Okay, we just gone live again. This is not the program then and now. We just switch over from the main system into the backup system. We just switch over from the main system. We just switch over from the main system into the backup system. We just to the backup system, ladies and gentlemen. And like I say, sometimes this can be some blessings in disguise, because waiting can happen is one or two of the video then can be too long. So waiting like this can happen. It can just absolutely be like a blessing in disguise. Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who don't join, we'll not get much time actually. Mr. Spain, of course, back always safe. Mr. Dauda Jallo, Madam Asiatu Molofona. Thank you for rejoining. Okay. This one will be too long because we don't go deep into it. But we'll be get a brother we been a speech Holy Ghost fire, man. Yeah, and he will join me back soon. He will join me back soon. Okay. But today we'll be to talk about the injunction where they don't bring for stop basically the elections, the runoff, scheduled for Tuesday, the 27th of March. And from all indication, it's like say this runoff not going to take place. And the brother earlier on, we've been a co-host the program with me, the direction we've been to go is the APC is a suspect in this case. The APC is a suspect, Dana by your account. But of course, it's to me, and if anybody else, they're on side or his side, they go fine for let you weigh in with your comments as well. It sounds very much like more theoretical, nothing really hard. Okay, so if you can develop that way, we lost the first segment of the video or the live broadcast. Now we dip on the second broadcast. So we go invite them soon in the next 2 or 3 minutes. We will bring and come. So again, welcome Mzo, Fofana, Finda Famata, Desmond Kai Jimmy. I wait for you call Desmond. SS, thank you for coming over. Again, Bodia, una not forget, yeah? While we dip on this, una click whatever una they watch am from, una look at the button, you go see share button. Click the share button. Let us share around with family and friends because this is critical. That means the first segment we be really serious because we try for outline the state of the affairs of the Republic as we speak today. The people will be very hopeful from the very start, prior to March 7, are now in a state of despair, uncertainty, fear, and very apprehensive. And not only them, but also those of us where happen for the away. Now I make with the ask say, do you let we tone down the rhetoric? Because this thing don't become serious. For 10 years plus, we fought a civil war. We see how it destroyed we. For some reason, we manage for survive and build up on that, and then they not accept we back now the community of nations. Then at this point in time, we build a fragile democracy because it's still questionable. Here we are, at the same time, calling or spewing tribal hate. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to stop this tribal hatred. That's what we call for. There is more that binds us than what divides us. There can be only one country and one people for that matter. So Timni, Limba, Kranko, Mende, Shabro, Vai, you name them, Gizi, we are all the same people. We are all the same people. If we destroy the state, what else do we have? Let me go back, they go language in other people and country, and we know what happened. Those of us who were refugees in other people's country, some of you that are calling for fight, and spewing hatred, have you lived as a refugee somewhere in somebody else's country? Have you seen the molestation? Have you been through the rubbish that you have to go through? Have you ever lived as a refugee in the next man's country and see the difficulty that you have to go through? Have you been through war for you to be advocating for war? Ladies and gentlemen, we need to tamper down the rhetoric because this is not going to take us anywhere. A tribal war is more intense. It's more savage. It's more destroying. than a civil war. We only need to look at neighboring Liberia. What they fought was a tribal war. And anybody who understands the context of that war saw what happened, saw the thousands of Liberians that were given sanctuary. Do you want to play the opposite side again? Because you went through yours, but yours was not a tribal war, it was a civil war. So by and large, a situation that has held down at the religious tolerance, tribal tolerance, the intermarriages, the things that kept us together, the strands and bonds of unity. This is what some people are calling for, because of power. But I understand power, because if you understand power dynamics, then you understand where people are coming from. Because most African leaders, they hold raw absolute power. They are almost like God on earth, because they decide what you eat, when you eat, how you eat, when you sleep, how you sleep. So to let go of that power, it's not easy. It doesn't come easy, so it doesn't go easy. That's why you see most times when there's a transition in our countries, it's difficult for it to appear or have a semblance of unity. And we are beginning to see strands of or strains of this in our country. We are beginning to see strains of this. And we need to wise up quickly. We need to have a conversation, family. We really need to have a conversation and stop this. If you learn how to divide the people before you begin to rule the people, you are going to end up ruling a nation which is divided. And how can you rule over a divided nation? That's going to be difficult, isn't it? And that's a fact. So we are asking people to tone down the rhetoric. We are disappointed. And the question that we're asking today in the forum is, ladies and gentlemen, the injunction, is it in the interest or is it in the national interest? We now know that a private citizen, some are saying that he was a former APC parliamentarian or attempted to become a parliamentarian but did not succeed. They say he's a lawyer, but he is a private citizen. So the question was asked earlier on, as a private citizen, has he got the right to petition or to file for an injunction, which the court has accepted and will listen to it tomorrow on the eve of the supposedly runoff, which should have taken place, or which should take place on the 7th? Unfortunately not, and this is political power that we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, and we are at a critical stage. I am saying, I, Prince Emil Krumah, the channel presenter and host, I have lived as a refugee before. I have fled from war before. Wars, no war, wars before. I am fortunate to be alive. I've seen a lot. I've lived in third countries, second countries, third countries, and the molestations are really, really not what we want to go through again as a people. That's why we need to tamper down the rhetoric. That's why we need to stop spewing hatred, tribal hatred. People who have been admired the world over for their religious tolerance are now seriously spewing hate at each other. Brothers can't live among brothers anymore, and the violence has started. People are already beginning to die, and this is how this thing starts. So the High Court is going to listen to this injunction tomorrow, and from all indication, it appears that the man who brought this injunction, a Mr. Ibrahim Sori Koroma, who is allegedly had ties or having ties with the All People's Congress, whom some are saying this injunction favors because they are the ones celebrating, is bringing it against the Electoral Commission. This is what I wanted to develop with my brother earlier on. So if, by and large, as we know now that the Electoral Commission has been questioned in terms of its performance and ineffectiveness in the conduct of the just ended elections, then doesn't this injunction warranted? Is it not a necessity because things were going the wrong way? There are heavy reports of malpractices, vote rigging. So we are asking, Is it not a necessity? Is the injunction in the interest of the national interest of the country? Has he got a right to bring it? The lawyers, those who are land lawyers, are saying, yes, as a private citizen, you can. And the High Court has accepted the injunction and will listen to it tomorrow. So we asked again, what is an injunction? An injunction is just a restraining order on a person, a thing, an entity to stop what they're doing. So effectively, is to stop NEC, which is the constituted, mandated authority, not to conduct the 27th March runoff elections. So people that had dreams, hopes, aspirations before March 7 when they went to the polls have only continued to sink down in despair. Fear is beginning to grip a nation. And I know what fear is. I've lived in these circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to use your buttons. You can share this at the bottom of your gadgets. Please have a look and then share it. Invite family and friends. Okay. Don't forget to add others. Don't forget to use the buttons, the emoticons. And your comments above all are really, really what we look up for. Does not have to be positive. It can be negative. Okay. Because this is how we learn how to go forward. I've said this over and over. I've said this over and over. This is the second part of the video. I started off by highlighting where we came from as opposed to where we are now. I mentioned George Orwell. Okay? The political language is designed to mesmerize or to stupefy people. But they make it to appear as if it's intelligence. This is George Orwell. And within the same vein, they make murder respectable. The strands that have held us thus far as a nation is beginning to be stretched to the boiling point, to the end point. And you know, once it boils over, it doesn't go back in there, not easily at least. And that's why we need to water down the rhetoric. The spewing of hate among a people envied for their tolerance, religious and tribal tolerance, is now seriously questionable. And ladies and gentlemen, this just simply needs to stop. Exactly, Mr. Kai Jimmy. The ignorance of our political leaders, but that's what I said earlier on, brother. If we understand power dynamics, how leaders are demigods in our kind of world, they hold absolute and raw power, which doesn't come easy, so they never let go easy. They decide what you do, how you eat, and things like that. That's why most of our countries, I'm talking about within an African context, which I don't ever try to throw under the bus, just speaking truth to power. You'll find out that most times these are the kind of things that happen. Instead of a peaceful transition, there's always some level, some degree of violence in which people will have to lose their lives and bridges are burnt. And time that you need to spend making progress, you have to start rebuilding what was already in existence. See why we are stuck in this cycle of poverty and viciousness. So our leaders partly are responsible for this, but I was equally saying that the president took a stand when he came out a few days ago and made a statement. That statement was quite appropriate. It was necessary and timely. The president appeared very, very solemn. He looked withdrawn to me because I've watched this man over the past 10 years, speeches, body language, in good times and bad times. But this one was serious. And that's what I was looking for, because that told me all the situation, what it is. If not all, but most of it. That gave me an idea. For on his face, he had a furrow, lines on his face, which from a psychological point of view imply anxiety or concern, or could be both. And when you look at the situation and you look at the state the president was in when he was addressing the nation, And of course, and he went on to develop what has transpired or what was transpiring in the country. What is interesting is, after the president spoke a day or two, a series of measures started unfolding which looked calculated. And I'm just saying looked calculated. Sekujo, if you have rejoined, you can feel free to call the channel. I was having a co-host tonight calling me from all the way Birmingham City, and he was making some really, really critical points. So if you have rejoined Sekuba, please make sure that you rejoin the channel and try to continue where you were. So we are asking our people to water down the rhetoric. Let us talk about nation building instead of tearing apart. The president came on live TV and condemned the atrocities that were being committed against his people. And I quote, he condemned it unreservedly and unequivocally. These were two strong words that the president used, unquote. He ordered immediate investigation. You can hear the emphasis in my voice. I'm just trying to follow the line of the president. Immediate investigation was ordered by the president. The security forces need to act and deal decisively. Security forces needed to act. I want to quote the president. The president condemned unreservedly and unequivocally, ordering immediate investigation by the security forces and for them to deal decisively with anyone responsible for these criminal acts, regardless of which party or which tribe they belong to. That was a president coming out and speaking strongly, which was necessary at the time. And even now, because the tribal hatred that was being spewed was reaching a level in which people have lost their lives, and the president went on to mention that even a flag bearer of a political party was attacked. A student or students lost their lives. People were being intimidated. This was reported on this channel a few weeks back. And that seems to have been escalating, that it warranted the attention of the president to come and speak to the nation, to give them an up-to-date of the state of affairs of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, this is serious. Although the president then went on into self-indulgence, that is, or was praising himself, that under the last 10 years, which were, by the way, factual, they were factual, that the last 10 years was the most peaceful in the history of the country. I don't agree with that first part at all. But the president said it probably was speaking from within a certain context. Because as a boy, in my first 10 years, I know I had a great time. I saw a peaceful country. I saw a clean country, a developing country, a happy people in my first 10 years. So probably the president was speaking from a different context. But he went on to say that the last 10 years has been the most peaceful. But then he said in the history of the country. These are his exact words. But he continued saying that during that 10 years, and he was talking about his 10 years while I said something about self-indulging. During his 10 years in power, and that's what I said again, largely true, there were no political prisoners held. These are facts that you cannot dispute. And these are all developmental aspects of a country. Traveling, I mean, it's relatively new, but at least these are gains in a fragile democracy. No prisoners held. No political, no of conscience. None in 10 years. This is an achievement. It is. But the broad-mindedness, according to the president, Brother Daniel Rogers, welcome to the program. This injunction reminds me of Gina Miller, the woman who took the UK government to court, that the UK Parliament should have a vote on Brexit deal. Similarly, the individual who took NET to court and won Good, very brilliant example, spot on. Brother Sekujo, I wish you're listening or you're following this brother's comment. And this is critical to this entire argument. Because you see, when it comes to the other side, then the argument suddenly becomes different. But the lawyers are saying that this man, in his private capacity as a citizen, has got the right. These are the lawyers saying it, the High Court of the land. But we are having doubts and we are beginning to build a house of cards based by and large on rhetoric, on perspective, on theory, and the facts are there for us to see. And that's why the brother has just made a brilliant, brilliant example, which I appreciate. Okay. First caller. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a caller. That was a caller trying to call me live, and he's probably going to try for me to bring him on. In the meantime, don't forget your share button on the side. Don't forget your comments, which I appreciate very much. But I was just saying, a brother on the program has just made a very, very concrete, tangible point in terms of the entire debate around this injunction, whether it was legal, whether it was done the right way, whether the person who did it had a right. Well, we tend to have massive respect for the other side where we are, or Western democracy, for very good reasons, and I agree. So the example that the brother is giving just makes the case. And I think this vindicates our High Court for the decision that they've taken. So first of all, listen, because whatever the case, most people will have said, well, anyway, it was a foregone conclusion. It was a foregone conclusion. Okay? But thanks for that contribution, Brother Daniel. Absolutely appropriate to the conversation. Absolutely. I want to welcome Brother Abubakar Kamara, Sister Trish Sayers, welcome to the program. Mr. Philip Bangura, welcome to the program. And I think Mr. Hamilton earlier on, Roland, welcome to the program. And all of those watching the program right now, this is just the second part. So we are talking about the injunction in the court. Was it done in the national interest? It does seem like there is not going to be the runoff slated for the 27th of March, because the injunction is going to be heard on Monday tomorrow, a critical timeline in our political history once more. A critical timeline in our political history once more. A critical timeline in our political history once more. Okay? We're using a different backup system, so you see my fingers all over the place, which I don't like, but I just have to live with this. So I was saying the president went on, to self-indulge in praises, saying the last 10 years of his government, which were factually correct, no prisoner of conscience, neither political, was held. Fact. No one was killed. No one was killed. No one was executed. Fact. Civil liberty. It thrived, and I've said this in previous broadcasts. It thrived under this government, under this APC government. Civil liberty thrived. So some of the freedom of the press that we see now is under this government. I mean, they encouraged it by and large, largely. And these freedoms that we continue to enjoy today. Okay? But Aseku John, I can see that you've joined. What you need to do now is to request for you to be added. And then I will happily add you so you can make your case. You've got a strong case there. And I'm looking for, like I said earlier on, people who are diametrically, politically, and etc., opposed to me. That's what I'm looking for. So make a request. So he's taking on the earlier comments by Brother Daniel Rogers. Brother Sekou John is saying, this case is different from Gina Miller because Gina was a private citizen while Ibrahim Zuri is a member of the political party. Yeah, I know this is going to go on. This is going to go on. It's going to go on because, and that's what makes it interesting anyway. That makes it very, very interesting. Okay. That makes it very, very interesting. Brother Sekou John, you need to ask for permission to be added, and then I will add you. I will give you the all go, and then you can come on live. You can come on live and make your case. Mr. Eustachi Jondo, welcome to the program, sir. So, this enviable record of this little republic, I'm talking about religious and tribal tolerance, that even during our madness, when we fought a civil war, when we tore each other apart, we never went tribal. And at this critical time, some are trying to harness this tribal line. And we are saying, please, please, let's water down the rhetoric. Because no one stands to benefit, not even you who is away from there and calling for it to happen in there. You are not free from it. So let's stop it. We can only have one country and one people moving forward. I don't think war is the answer under any circumstance. Welcome, Mr. Dumbuya. I don't think so. The president did look solemn. He assured the nation that they will be protected, that he will provide security. I wish I can get the brother back online. Brother Sekou John, you need to try and call the channel. Try and call the channel. Just look for some add button, some request button is there. And then I can provide you the request so you can make this case of yours. And so I can ask, some critical question. In the meantime, let me be addressing some of the things that you were saying, in which you said it's the APC that has been rejoicing over this injunction. Well, maybe, probably so. Because it does look like APC was threatened. So, yeah, that seems like a plausible argument, my friend. Yeah, that seems like a plausible argument. Because it's like you're having a dream in which your riches that you had in the bank, suddenly it started disappearing. It's a dream, you've seen it going. Probably that's what happened. So Brother Daniel has come back, I think responding to Brother Sekou John. In my opinion, this injunction was not in national interest, but a calculated play by this private individual to further APC's agenda to derail the election process because they lost the first round. Yep. Again, hypothetical, theoretical, a little bit of circumstantial evidence, because losing the first round does not automatically mean that you've lost out, because there were chances available again for you to go and salvage whatever pride or whatever losses. How it is going, I really don't know, and that's what the opposition party is claiming, that they've got the upper ground, but they had it in few thousands of votes. Not very much. And there was nothing outright for either side. So yes, one side led with a few thousand votes, and the other one was a behind, minus few thousand votes. But no one really had the outright majority to form a government. But the tension that we see, and where I want to agree, possibly, is, well, the party is in power, and normally incumbents do win elections. Seldomly do they lose, because they've got everything to their advantage: the coffers, the organs of state, the state apparatus, the security, and things like that. But in this case, it turned out to be something different. So I said in one of my broadcasts, or when I was doing an interview with a brother, they looked like, or I asked, are you rattled? Are you rattled? Because it seems like they're rattled, of course, because they never got what they set out to achieve. And from indications out there, it does seem a little bit different than they anticipated. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Then and Now. I'm your host and presenter. Please don't forget your comments. I appreciate your comments, because I'm going to take my time and go through every one of them so that I can understand what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. No, Mr. Sekou John, it's not friend request. It's not a friend request. This is not a friend request. Here we are friends already. But what you can do, there is a button there that you just need to click and it will come to me, which is like add. It's like a add a button. Something like you want to place a call. It's there. It's there. It's not a request for friends here, because we are friends already. Because I really need to hear you, and I need the audience to hear you. Sister Patricia Brown, how are you? How are you doing, my sister? Roland Tamba, how are you doing, my brother? How is Marovia? I hope all is well. I wasn't able to answer your call the other day. I was at work. On next week, I will be bringing some sisters on the program, about 5 or 6 of them, real beautiful queens. I'll be bringing them on the program, and they will be talking about their charity. They have a charity in Monrovia, Liberia. 5 or 6 beautiful queens. Okay, they will be talking about their charity on this very channel. That will be on my next broadcast, which will be next week. So keep tuned and keep your eyes and ears open. Sister Patricia, you're going to be helping them to sell tickets, I've been told to tell you. So this is just the information. Next week, 5 or 6 queens will be right here on this channel talking about their charity. But tonight we are talking about the state of the injunction brought about by a private citizen, allegedly an operative of the All People's Congress, who happens to be a lawyer. He's brought an injunction, and what an injunction is to put a restraining order on a person, a thing, or entity, in this case, to stop the NEC, which is the election body mandated by a law to conduct the Sierra Leone presidential election. So we all know that we went to a runoff. The runoff was meant to take place on the 27th. Now there's a state of flux. And then the president have come out and spoken. People are more apprehensive than they were the day before. And now here we are. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking you, of course, a couple of people have already contributed. They've had an argument on the basis of the injunction. Somebody said, made an example of what happened in Britain during a time when they asked for Brexit, how a private citizen thought that, no, she does not wanted Brexit to go ahead. And so she used a human right, a citizen right, and brought an injunction against the execution of Brexit. And that case was heard. And even as we speak, I believe that case is still ongoing. The other brother came along and said, no. The issue of Brexit, the injunction regarding Brexit, is different from that of the injunction of the APC, SLPP, or the elections runoff to be held. And why? The brother said, because the person bringing the injunction is an APC operative. Well, even if this brother is an APC operative, I think that's the next question. Doesn't he have the right? Because my understanding previously was in his capacity as a private citizen. He was a former failed parliamentarian candidate of the party. but he's now a lawyer, I think, practicing privately, but as a private citizen. So even assuming that he's a party member, could he or could he not? But we are saying that this was not brought about in the interest of national unity. It is because somebody is beginning to see as if they are on the losing side. But how does this help us going further? How does this really help us going forward? And this is the next question. How does this help us going any further? Because win or lose, it seems like there's a problem hanging over us. How do we resolve this before it gets out of hand? What do you think the solution is? How can we handle this? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Then and Now. I'm your host and presenter, Prince Emil Cromer, and I was trying to get a brother online who was supposed to co-host the program with me today. We lost him earlier on, and I'm asking him to come back. Those of you who know how to join Facebook, who can make the explanation more simple, will you put something on the chat room so the brother can see? Because I've been trying to explain it. It doesn't seem to be chiming in. Okay, it doesn't seem to be chiming in. Yeah. And Brother Sekujo, maybe you need to just press on my icon and that comes directly to me. But there's something there that you just need to tap. There's something there that you need to tap. An invitation will come to me and I think I will accept it, or the other way around. I'm not too familiar with this channel. Okay? But notwithstanding, this is what we are talking about. On the eve of the hearing of the injunction. This is critical. We need to tone the rhetoric down. We need to do this in the interest of peace and tranquility in the country. You know, when people begin to say, that the APC is suspect and the president is suspect. I said earlier on, when he was making the speech, a few days ago, which a brother, I think is on here, sent me. I've been watching him. I'm fond of doing these things, watching him over and over. So I can almost tell body languages, when he's excited, when there's anxiety, when there are concerns, when he's bluffing, sort of try to want to tell. So on this one, I saw this furrow, and the president looked a bit rattled. Let me begin to be a bit critical. The president appeared to be a little bit rattled. And circumstantially, if things are not going your way, then of course you will. And probably that's why the furrow is also there. So from a psychological point of view, you will see or ascribe this to anxiety and concern, or both. That's what the president exhibited during that short speech to the nation. Okay? But interestingly, what followed after that speech, a day or two, is the injunction and several other measures, some of which we haven't heard about yet. But the injunction was to follow. So when somebody said cold, calculated, and of course you can also look in that direction. You can also look in that direction. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we've spoken more than enough on this program. I really did feel terrible that I could not get my friend and brother to address this forum. I really could not get my friend and brother to address this forum, which is a bit strange for me for some reason, because it should have been pretty much easier. Yeah, I think it should have been pretty much easier. Let me try this. Is it going to work? It's already added. So why then? Okay. So I think I've got to, I've got to leave it at that. I've got to leave it at that because I've tried. And I'm just trying to recap anyway, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to end the broadcast in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. And whilst it's difficult to talk about, but we can easily see this. Reason again why I wanted Mr. Barry into the program. He said some things earlier on which some people joined later and they were not privy to. And I wanted to ask some series of questions. A, were there malpractices? And the answer will seem like, yes, there were. Was it serious enough to warrant a situation of a rerun, runoff being called off, injunction being made? Well, up to now, reports that we are receiving is indicating how reckless, how ineffective the election commission was, along with his head, Mr. Umfa Ali. Reports that we are receiving. But whilst people want to downplay this, the Commonwealth, there have been a calm measurement by our international partners, our international friends. But one or two of them have said a thing or two, which is one, the Commonwealth, Africa Initiative. And then I understand that the U.S. ambassador, Her Excellency Brewer, have spoken briefly on the situation. But all of them were just calling for a situation of calm, which is in line with the president. So on that note, I'm equally saying, let us exercise calm. In a matter of hours, tomorrow is upon us. We will hear what happened. But the likelihood for the elections to go on, the runoff to go on, is now fastly receding. It might take something dramatic tomorrow and the High Court, because we are noted for this, the High Court might say, no, this has to go on. We've seen many, many dimensions to these things that we thought were a foregone conclusion, and it turned out to be the other way. But this is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. And I just want to say thank you to you all that have been watching me, as usual. And I'll be coming to you next week. Like I said, I'll be bringing 5 or 6 beautiful queens on this program, and they will be talking about their charity movement. But until then, please don't forget to visit the channel on YouTube. It's Prince space X for X-ray space then space the letter N space now, and please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Please leave your comments on this video, positive, negative. All of them are appreciated. And if you've got families back home, please tell them to stay put, be careful, not to ramp up the rhetoric, and to stay away from inciting. And if you are doing the same, I hope this video will make a difference, that there's more than us than what separates us. On this note, I would like to say good night to you all until we catch up again sometime next week. This is your host and presenter of the channel, Prince Emil Kroma, saying goodbye for now. Thank you.